Let's get to our discussion now. Following the recent decline of the Naira at the parallel markets, the Central Bank of Nigeria has started introducing foreign exchange interventions to clamp down on currency speculators in the foreign exchange market. The acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Folashodun Shonubi, had earlier revealed that the Naira crash against the dollar and the volatility of the foreign exchange market is attributed to diversion of diaspora remittances to unofficial markets. And he said that President Tinubu has also expressed his concern over the effects of the recent developments, especially on Nigerians. The acting governor of the CBN said that he would not disclose specific details of the proposed intervention measures, but has warned speculators that the proposed measures could potentially lead to significant losses for them. Joining us on Zoom right now is a financial expert, Olusegun Elemo, to help us make sense of some of these issues that this acting CBN governor has spoken about. Segun, it's good to have you join us this morning. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I'm happy to join.
Great. All right. When the CBN announced that they were coming up with measures, a lot of persons said, okay, it's because it was like a breaking news. There were going to be measures by the Central Bank of Nigeria, and Nigerians were waiting, anticipating anxiously to hear what the CBN was going to come up with and all of that. But at this point, of course, the average Nigerian doesn't really care about the monetary policies, all of that technical, financial, this and that. They just want to have things easy. But speak to us how easy or challenging it's going to be for the Central Bank of Nigeria to adequately handle this issue of Forex, volatility that has, devastated the entire economic space. What do you see?
Well, thank you again for the question. For me, I would say what the acting CBN governor came to disclose to us a few days ago was completely needless. We don't care about whether speculators are going to lose money or not, and it's not even it's not in the interest of this Apex Bank to say speculators should not lose money. The point is, go ahead, do what you have to do, and protect the lives of Nigerians. I think that's what matters here. Whether speculators are going to lose money or not, for me, I have no business with that. And as far as I know, many Nigerians don't have any business with that. So if this acting CBN governor now comes to say they are warning speculators, it gives an indication that the Apex Bank is helpless. The Apex Bank is probably not lost. Let me use that word. It's lost in the room as to what exactly to do to curb this menace of FX pressure on our local currency. And I've said it in many fora, including on this platform, that even though we see the former central bank governor, who is currently being prosecuted, has been monetarily reckless, and I use that word advisable, because I'm not just monetarily, but even physically. You saw the previous governor, moving from monetary interventions to fiscal interventions that should actually sit with the Federal Ministry of Finance, providing agricultural loans, providing intervention on rice production, and those are not, activities of the Apex Bank. But in the middle of all of what happened with the previous governor, I think there were some, forward-looking reforms that he also implemented, with political, undertone, because that came on the verge of, the 2023 elections. And I, for one, thought if the governor was going to do all of what he did with the cashless policy and all of that, he could have done that 2 years before the elections. Could have done that 3 years before the elections, and nobody would read, political, meanings to all of his decisions. But like I said, there were, political undertone to all of those things. And the thing here is that there were forward-looking reforms, and I will give you one. For instance, he, put in place a policy that will now restrict Naira withdrawal over the counter to a minimum amount. And what that means is that would, naturally, lower the pressure on how people, get the Naira and pursue, FX, whether the dollar or the pounds or the euro. Because really, speculators, who are they? How do they speculate? Where do they speculate? What are the techniques for speculation? I'm not a speculator, but I know that there's no how you are going to speculate without having local currencies at your disposal in volume. So when people can walk into their financial institutions over the counter and withdraw hundreds of millions of Naira in a day, then you give room for speculation. Again, is that, like I said, it looks like the Apex Bank is lost in the room. And is that, I've said it, and I'm saying it again. There's no problem in the world that is greater than human beings. It's not possible. You can't tell me that we are just helpless and we can't solve this problem. Even if there are speculators, I'm saying that let them speculate digitally. Let them speculate over a dashboard. And let us see who is speculating. And it is easy to do that. You can today, as I'm speaking to you, you can go to your bank, withdraw as much as maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 million Naira, take it off the radar to, a bureau de change operator, hidden somewhere around the country, and exchange for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the Apex Bank will not be aware. Nobody is aware. The NFIU is not aware. The anti-corruption agencies are not aware. And then you say we are in a sane environment, and you are saying you can't do anything about that. No. That is, throwing some very, I don't know how to put it, but you're dashing the hope of Nigerians by coming to say now you are warning speculators. I mean, we want them to lose money. So go ahead and implement your reforms.
All right.
Go ahead and, put in place policies that will protect us from all of this pressure.
Right. And talking about policies, in June or thereabout, the CBN announced a unification of the exchange rate structure and collapsed its rate. Yet we have seen, and the rationale then was, to address the free fall of the Naira, and this, hasn't, appeared to, obviously it hasn't, abated yet. In your view, especially you've spoken about what needs to be done, let's also try and, address, what went wrong, despite the announcement of that policy of the unification of the exchange rate, and yet here we are.
It is simple. The policy that was in place before the president took over was simply reversed. And that policy was that you can't walk into the bank, you can't withdraw FX over the counter to over a particular volume. When it gets beyond a particular threshold, you do that electronically. That policy was reversed. People can now access, you are aware that the Naira policy, the cashless, policy over, the Naira was also reversed. People can now, before the president took over, you could hardly withdraw, maybe 20,000 Naira a day over the, automated teller machine. But now you can withdraw, even as much as 150,000. And people go over the counter walk into their banks and withdraw millions of Naira, and they pursue. And everybody wants to then, save up in foreign currency. People want to transact in foreign currency. People want to hoard foreign currency. And as I speak to you, the liquidity in the system is rising. And what that means is that people are already storing up cash for 2027 elections. I want you to be aware of this and do something about it. The same problem we had with the 2023 elections is now staring us in the face. I'm saying there's no need to have reversed some of those forward-looking policies. yes, you can deal with the man who was reckless, who had political ambitions. Yes, the system can, and that's what we also say about strengthening our institutions. You saw a man, coming into an institution that is supposed to manage, and then, just, do everything to destroy the integrity of that institution. I'm saying that the system should deal with him. But some of those policies that he put in place that are forward-looking, say we should sustain it in the interest of Nigerians so that we can protect our own currency and because we're also an import-dependent economy, we need to ensure that the currency, our local currency, we safeguard it, we protect it, so that even when we're going to, explore, import transactions, we're able to trade at a point of advantage. But as it is today, you can't even forecast. You can't even plan as a business person operating in Nigeria today. You don't know what FX will look like tomorrow morning, and it is not entirely available within the official window. And the point here is that there's no economy where you run a parallel market that is so reckless, unregulated, with little or no supervision at all. And then you expect things, to then take care of themselves. No, it won't happen like that. The point is that the apex bank should proceed and regulate properly the parallel market. You can't have, everybody is not a bureau de change operator. It's so sad. Look at the way people just go on the streets and trade, dollar, trade pounds. They will even wave it at you, in traffic. It's as bad as that. We should regulate it, and when we create a proper window for the guys who are ethically doing the business in the parallel market, we create a proper window for them to operate. And I'm not saying that you should chase everybody off the street. No, that's not what I'm saying. Create that window for them to operate properly and regulate them, and then enact a law to criminalize trading of foreign currencies on the streets. And the National Assembly has, the big task to do here. This is just me speaking from my heart. There's no point. You're not going to solve this problem by coming to address a press conference and warning speculators. And no. You're not going to solve the problem like that. If you have the solution, please go ahead and implement it right from your office.
All right, that is what Nigerians expect. However, the central bank said all the measures it has, of course, it's not going to let them out just yet, and they're going to come as they come. But there is a report of the plan of the central bank to flood the market with foreign exchange, and that report was all on the papers a few days ago. But there are questions as to where will the foreign currency come from that the central bank intends to flood the market with. I wonder what you see. Would they come from the reserve that Nigeria has had and is trying to, shore them up as a way of strengthening the economy, or is it going to be borrowings? I wonder what you're seeing from that window.
Absolutely, it's going to be borrowings. What is the reserve? We all know that the reserve is not what it is as of today. The report, the audited accounts of the Apex Bank was released recently. And you see, that's another problem. So you then release audited account for several years that have not been released. And you saw the recklessness of the managers of our Apex Bank, the recklessness, pledging our foreign reserve, for loans that was not approved by the National Assembly. So the foreign reserve is not even what it is today. So if the Apex Bank is going to flood the market with FX, I don't know where it's going to get that FX from. It's certainly going to be borrowings, and at what cost to us? Because as it is today, we're not even pumping 1.2 million barrels. We're struggling to do that. And how much are we earning in terms of FX from non-oil exports? So where will the central bank get the funds from to then cushion the problem we're currently facing? Now, on the issue of the audited accounts of the Apex Bank that was released recently, you see, I think the National Assembly, will have to do something real quick on how statutory corporations, commissions, and agencies operate in the country. And I'm suggesting that, Section 85, sub 3 of the Constitution should be amended to give the Auditor General for the Federation additional powers to audit these statutory corporations, commissions, and agencies beyond the periodic checks that is currently allowed by the Constitution. You see, in democracy, the strength of democracy rests on the parliament. And I'm just hoping that the National Assembly will sit up and do what is best in the interest of the country, in the interest of the people, so that the system can operate efficiently. You can't have an institution as huge, as sensitive as the central bank, and then its audited accounts are not released annually, and then you have backlogs of up to 5, 6, 7 years that is now released, at a go, in one fell swoop. No. It's not done that way. That's not how to run an institution. So if you allow the Auditor General for the Federation, powers to then audit these statutory, corporations, commissions, including, the Nigerian Communications Commission, including the Niger Delta Development Commission, including the Northeast Development Commission and the Apex Bank and all the likes, then we'll have people sit up because they know that the auditors will come at the end of the year and the reports will be released and, the National Assembly will come after them. So I think there's a whole lot policy change that can be implemented to get us on the right path. But on the issue about the central bank, flooding the Apex, flooding the market with, FX, I don't think we have the capacity to do that domestically. We will have to be borrowings and come at additional cost.
And, some analysts are making a case for BDCs. You've spoken a bit about, the abuse of the BDC system. People have even said some CBN staff are also BDCs themselves and need to be called out to bring forth reforms. But my question is even targeted at the possible need for a level playing field of equal access to everyone, to all the players in the market, as perhaps a solution to the crisis that we have with the Naira. Some say in that regard that the BDCs themselves, need to be, brought to the table and, not the lowest end of the stick that they appear to be getting at this time. What do you think?
Wait. I mean, is there any country you have been to and you want to, you travel out of Nigeria and you want to exchange Naira for that particular currency, and then you see people on the street, trading it? Have you been to such a country where people trade, currencies, foreign currencies on the streets, and, they just wave it at you and say, this is our rate today, this is our rate now, and then a minute after it changes, and then another minute it changes, and nobody's determining the prices. People are just, kind of recklessness is that? It's the system that allows it. And even if you say, and like I said, the CBN licenses, bureau de change operator, and they can continue to do that. But under what framework do they license these people? I mean, you have people who don't even have $100 to trade, up to $100 to trade, but they're on the street trading. $30, $50, $100, $200, $500. Is that the kind of people that the central bank licensed to trade FX as BDC operators? Are we all right? Are we okay in this country? If you are going to license people to trade, let there be a proper framework. What is the capital requirement? What is the structure? How should they operate? Do they have offices? Do they collect data of people who come to trade, to buy or sell foreign currencies? Do they have digitized system? Is the CBN able to monitor all the transactions that happen in that window on a daily basis, real time? These are the questions. There's nobody today that should go and buy, foreign currency outside the DMBs, the deposit money banks, and then the CBN will be unable to track it. That is the window that speculators are using to put pressure on the Naira. And I'm saying that you don't allow that kind of system to continue. And you must go after them. If you're going to license super BDCs, go ahead and license super BDCs so that you have, for instance, maybe you have 100 of them in the country. So then you then know that the small scale operators are then absorbed under these super BDCs, and the super BDCs will be responsible for their actions. And the super BDCs are then allowed to collect data just the way you go into your financial institutions. You want to withdraw, they ask you for your BVN, they ask you for all of that. Sometimes they ask you for NIN and all of those things. And those sensitive details, then those details allow the central bank to know who has come to the bank today to withdraw, what amount did they withdraw, where did they take the money to, and all of those things. Those are the things that should happen with the BDCs. You shouldn't go to that window and trade volumes of FX and nobody is aware. And then you go and you store it in your house and you keep it for elections and you keep it for all kinds of manner of activities. I think we need to sit up.
All right. I would need you to explain to us at this point. Nigerians are still confused as to when the federal government has said that we have removed the fuel subsidy on one hand, yet prices of petrol are still fixed at a certain point. They were saying that the demand and supply was going to determine all of those now. It's no longer subsidy. But when the price is still at a certain benchmark, I wonder how that works. It is the same thing now in the financial sector where there is a unification of the Forex, where there are no discrepancies anymore. But then we still see certain rates, the official rates, we still see the parallel market going up at its own rate and so on. Why do we still have this? Maybe there could be some economic explanation to this for the average Nigerian to understand why we still have this when we say we're moving on.
Well, the point here is that FX liquidity is tied to availability of petroleum products. Those petroleum products are imported and you need FX to import petroleum products. That is a link and it's very simple. So you continue to have that pressure on the petroleum products as long as the pressure on FX continues, which means that the prices of petrol products cannot be fixed. It will continue to change. And once it changes, the only intervention that the government can provide is to subsidize. Whether it's subsidized at the pump price, at the pump, or it's subsidized at the import stage, it's still subsidy. So let nobody fool anybody. What just needs to happen is that we need to be transparent and accountable to the people on what kind of subsidy we would now want to implement right now, how we want to implement it, who is getting subsidy, and their data should be open, should be in the public space. So if you're going to subsidize at the point of import, as against at the pump, which we used to have, it's still subsidy. Now, I'll give you a scenario. I think it was in 2007, the former president, Obasanjo, sold some of our refineries. The late president, Yaradua, came and reversed the sale. I think Dangote and a few of his friends bought two of those refineries for $750 million at the time. The then late president reversed the sale and refunded the money. Fast forward 15 years after, we now needed about $1.5 billion. So the sale was about $750 million that was refunded. Fast forward 15 years after, we now needed $1.5 billion to revitalize or revamp or whatever the nomenclature is, one of those refineries, which could have been, done away with 15 years before, efficiently operated by the private sector, availability of PMS in the country with no pressure on our foreign reserve, with no pressure from the FX window, You see, when we carelessly take decisions, this is the results that we get. And the truth is that we are even now borrowing to revamp those refineries at a time where the world had moved on from fossil fuel. Recently, we celebrated the commissioning of the Dangote refinery. We are commissioning a refinery when the world had moved on from fossil fuel. The central bank, during that commissioning, came and said, I think he said about 80 or 90% of the liquidity, that was pumped into building that refinery was sourced locally. One thing that he didn't mention is that they found it difficult to get investors outside Nigeria because the world had moved on and nobody was going to invest in that kind of project at that scale. When we're talking about energy transition, where we're talking about climate change, where the world had moved on. So, that's the point. Whatever infrastructure you're now going to need in that sector, you will have to deal with it domestically and source the money yourself, or possibly use the African Development Bank like they use to get $1.5 billion for the refinery they're now revamping. So that's the issue. Except we are self-sufficient locally, where PMS products are available locally and we can source it locally and our refineries are working, we will continue to have this pressure on the petroleum products as a result of the pressure on the FX window. And I don't see that problem being resolved in the next 6 months. Although the president has given commitments to the labor union that the refinery will start operating from the end of the year. But at what scale? With those refineries, will they be able to meet local demand? And all of, I think we're waiting to see all of that. But the truth is, government is coming with another type of subsidy, not at the pump, possibly at the import stage.
All right. Okay, we wait to see how all of these will pan out and turn out to translate into economic prosperity for Nigerians and for businesses as we get along. Thank you so much, Olusegun Elemo, for your time and your insight into all of these. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Great.